Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So we are discussing Adi-lila, chapter 7, verse 121. Vyasera sutrete kehe parimavada.
Vyasera sutrete kehe parimavada.
Vyasa branta balitara upaila vivada.
Vyasa branta balitara upaila vivada.
Vyasera of Srila Vyasadeva. Sutrete in the codes. In the codes. Kahe describes parinama, transformation, vada, philosophy, Vyasa, Srila Vyasadeva, Branta, mistaken, Bali, accusing him, Tarab, his, Adi-lila, raised, Vivada, opposition. In his Vedanta Sutra, Srila Vyasadeva has described that everything is but a transformation of the energy of the Lord. Shankaracharya, however, has misled the world by commenting that Vyasadeva was mistaken. Thus, he has raised great opposition to theism throughout the entire world. Now, because Srila Prabhupada is very, very vocal about the Mayavadi philosophy that was all-pervading throughout India, this is probably like his favourite subject matter. So Lord Caitanya is also explaining the weaknesses in the Mayavadi philosophy. Consequently, Srila Prabhupada has written quite an elaborate purport, which is a couple of pages long, so I'll endeavour to make it as interesting as possible so we can get through it, because I think normally in Vaishnava tradition we do read through all of Prabhupada's purport and then comment on it. So whatever time we have left. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Bhaktivedanta Core explains in the Vedanta Sutra of Srila Vyasadeva, it is definitely stated that all cosmic manifestations result from transformations of various energies of the Lord. Shankaracharya, however, does not accept the energy of the Lord, thinks that it is the Lord who is transformed. He has taken many clear statements from the Vedic literature and twisted them to try to prove that if the Lord or the Absolute Truth were transformed, this oneness would be disturbed. Thus, he has accused Srila Vyasadeva of being mistaken. In developing his philosophy of monism, therefore, he has established Vivartavada, or the Mayavad theory of illusion. First chapter. In the Brahma Sutra, second chapter, the first quote is as follows: Tadanantyatam Rambanasam Dadibhya. Commenting on this sutra in his Sarirak Bhashya, Shankaracharya has introduced the statement Vacharambanam Vikaro Namadyam from the Chandogaya Upanishad to try and prove that acceptance of the transformation of the energy of the Supreme Lord is faulty. He has tried to defy this transformation of energy in a misguided way, which will be explained later. Since his conception of God is impersonal, he does not believe that the entire cosmic manifestation is a transformation of the energies of the Lord. For as soon as one accepts the various energies of the Absolute Truth, one must immediately accept the Absolute Truth to be personal, not impersonal. A person can create many things by the transformation of his energy. For example, businessman transforms his energy by establishing many big factories or business organisations. Yet he remains a person, although his energy has been transformed into these many factories or business concerns. The Mayavadi philosophers do not understand this simple fact. Their tiny brains and poor funded knowledge cannot afford them sufficient enlightenment to realise that when a man's energy is transformed, the man himself is not transformed but remains the same person. Not believing in the fact that the energy of the Absolute Truth is transformed, Sankaracharya propounded this theory of illusion. This theory states that although the Absolute Truth is never transformed, we think that it is transformed, which is an illusion. Sankaracharya does not believe in the transformation of the energy of the Absolute Truth, for he claims that everything is one and that the living entity is therefore also one with the Supreme. This is Mayavadi theory. Srila Vyasadeva has explained that the Absolute Truth is a person who has different potencies. Merely by his desire there be creation, and by his glance aikshata, he created this world, ashrajata. After creation he remains the same person. He's not transformed into everything. One should accept that the Lord has inconceivable energies, and that is his order, and will that varieties of manifestation come into existence. In the Vedanta Sutra it is said, Satattva Nyata Buddhi Vikara Iti Udaharita. This mantra indicates that from one fact another fact is generated. For example, a father is one fact, and a son generated from the father is a second fact. Thus, both of them are truths, although one is generated from the other. This generation of a second independent truth from the first truth is called vikara, or transformation, resulting in a byproduct. Supreme Brahman is the Absolute Truth, and the other energies that have emanated from him are existing separately, such as the living entities of the cosmic manifestation are also truths. This is an example of transformation, which is called vikara or parinama. To give another example of vikara, milk is a truth, but the same milk may be transformed into yogurt. Thus yogurt is a transformation of milk, although the ingredients of yogurt and milk are the same. In the Chandogaya Upanishad there is the following mantra, Atidatatnyam idam sarvam. This mantra indicates without a doubt that the entire world is Brahman. The Absolute Truth has inconceivable energies, as confirmed in Svetasvara Upanishad, Parasya Shakti Vivadeva Shruyate. And the entire cosmic manifestation is evident of these different energies of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is a fact, and therefore whatever is created by the Supreme Lord is also factual. Everything is true and complete, Purnam. But the original Purnam, the complete Absolute Truth, always remains the same. Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya. The Absolute Truth is so perfect that although innumerable energies emanate from him and manifest creations which appear to be different from him, he nevertheless maintains his personality. He never deteriorates under any circumstances. It is to be concluded that the entire cosmic manifestation is a transformation of the energy of the Supreme Lord, not of the Supreme Lord or Absolute Truth himself, who always remains the same. The material world and the living entities are transformations of the energy of the Lord, the Absolute Truth, Brahman, who is the original source. In other words, the Absolute Truth, Brahman, is the original ingredient, and the other manifestations are transformation of this ingredient. This is also confirmed in Taittiriya Upanishad, Yato va imani bhutani jayante entire cosmic manifestation is made possible by the Absolute Truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this verse it is indicated Brahman, Absolute Truth, is the original cause, and living entities, jivas, and cosmic manifestation are effects of this cause. The cause being a fact, the effects are also factual. They are not illusion. Shankaracharya has inconsistently tried to prove that acceptance of the material world and jivas to be byproducts of the Supreme Lord, and its illusion because of this conception, the existence of the material world and jivas is different, separate from that of the Absolute Truth. With this jugglery of understanding, Mayavadi philosophers have propagated the slogan Brahma Satyam Jagan Mitya, which declares the Absolute Truth is a fact, but the cosmic manifestation of living entities is simply illusions. We're all illusions, yeah. Or that all of them are in fact Absolute Truth, and that the material world living entities do not separately exist. It is therefore to be concluded that Shankaracharya, in order to present the Supreme Lord, the living entities, and material nature as indivisible and ignorant, tries to cover the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He maintains that the material cosmic manifestation is mithya, false. But this is a great blunder. If the Supreme Personality of Godhead is a fact, how can His creation be false? Even in ordinary dealings, why cannot I think the material cosmic manifestation to be false? Therefore, why should our philosophers say that the cosmic creation is not false but temporary? It is separated from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but since it's wonderfully created by the energy of the Lord, to say that it's false is blasphemous. Non-devotees factually appreciate the wonderful creation of material nature, but they cannot appreciate the intelligence and the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is behind this material creation. Sripad Ramanujacharya, however, refers to a Vedic sutra, Atma Va Idam Agra Asit, which points out that Supreme Atma, the Absolute Truth, exists before the creation. When they argue the Supreme Personality of Godhead is completely spiritual, how is it possible for Him to be the origin of creation and have within Himself both material and spiritual energies? To answer this challenge, Sripad Ramanujacharya quotes a mantra from the Taittiriya Upanishad, which states, Yato va imani bhutani jayante yena jati jivanti yat prayanti abhisam visanti. This mantra confirms that the entire cosmic manifestation emanates from the Absolute Truth, rests upon the Absolute Truth, and after annihilation again re-enters the body of the Absolute Truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The living entity is originally spiritual, and when he enters the spiritual world, the body of the Supreme Lord, he still retains his identity as an individual soul. In this connection, Srimad Ramanujacharya gives example of when a green bird enters a green tree, it does not become one with the tree. It retains its identity as a bird. Just a very quick example of the king parrots that come to eat these berries. They're all green, and you sort of, see the tree moving, but you can't see the parrots until they fly away from the tree. Classic example. Dinabandhu says that all the beautiful coloured birds of Vrindavan have migrated to Australia. Now they're all in Australia, live in Vrindavan. Although it appears to merge in the greenness of the tree. To give another example, an animal that enters a forest keeps its individuality, although apparently the beast emerges in the forest. Similarly, in material existence, both material energy and living entities of marginal potency maintain their individuality. Thus, although the energies of the Supreme Lord, Personality of Godhead, interact with the cosmic manifestation, each keeps its separate individual existence. Merging in the material or spiritual energies, therefore, does not involve loss of individuality. According to Ramanujapad's theory of Vishishtatveta, although all the energies of the Lord are one, each keeps his individuality. Vasishtha, Shripad Sankaracharya has tried to mislead the readers of Vedanta Sutra by misinterpreting the words Anandamayo Vyasat, and he has even tried to find fault with Vyasadeva. All the codes of Vedanta Sutra need not be examined here. However, since we intend to present the Vedanta Sutra in a separate volume, Jai Srila Prabhupada covered all bases, would you say? Good. So maybe now I've got a little bit of time left, so I was going to break it down a little bit and just start at the beginning and try and work up to this and sort of see if we can sort of, understand a little bit of the basics of what's being put forward here. So what we have here at the moment is that we're all sitting here reading the Sri Caitanya Caritamrita. Now, this is a book that was compiled. It's a sort of like, maybe you can compare it to the Bible, like when you've got the Old Testament, which is sort of like the Bhagavatam, and it sort of goes around, meanders around in circles a bit about this tribe and that tribe, but the Srimad Bhagavatam just sort of keeps going up to the sort of nectar of Krishna's lotus feet, so it's a sort of organised description of Supreme Lord. So therefore, the New Testament, the New Testament, if anybody's read the Bible, I suppose before we came we all had a go at it, didn't we? So the New Testament contains the epistles of the apostles, right? So there's different letters that were written to all the other sort of brothers in the spiritual faith about the life and pastimes of Jesus, his parables, and his instructions to the apostles. Unfortunately, a lot of them sort of floated around for 300 years or close to 400 years before they got compiled, and memories do fade. It's quite amazing how you think that you saw something even 30 years ago whereas different. Just like when, I'm really meandering here, Jagat Priya Mataji mentioned the fact that when Srila Prabhupada passed away, I was in Sydney, she was in Sydney, and through Bhuvanath broke the news. I really swore for the last 30 years it was Hari Sori, but apparently Hari Sori was here in New Govardhana and he flew to... How could this happen? This is your memory, right? So anyway, that's just illustrating the point. Whereas the life and precepts, it's like Lord Chaitanya, it's also an epistle, it's letters, but not letters, it's actually directly given to this great saint, Krishna Das Kaviraj, who was very old, but he was appointed, we want to record Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, and he was given these pastimes, Lord Chaitanya, by the Goswamis. Like Rupa Sanatan Goswami, I think, had association with him, or Jiva? Raghunath. Yeah, Raghunath, who had personal association with Lord Chaitanya, and he also knew of the conversations Lord Chaitanya had with the Goswamis. So directly he instructed Krishna Das Kaviraj in this. And it's also like in this, so it's split into three, the Adi-lila, Madhya-lila and Antya-lila. So the Adi-lila is Lord Chaitanya's beginning, his birth, and the Madhya-lila was his preaching. So we're now entering the end of the Adi-lila where Lord Chaitanya's taken sannyas and he started to preach. So he's with Prakasananda Saraswati having a conversation. Just for your information, in the Caitanya Caritamrita, there maybe is 5 or 6 really, really important conversations that Lord Chaitanya has. Very, very elaborate. This one goes 171 verses. So there are other conversations they had with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya about the same subject matter, about Sankaracharya's philosophy and the explanation of the Atmarama verse according to, from Srimad Bhagavatam, the seed slokas according to Sankaracharya, who gave 11 interpretations, I think, and then Lord Caitanya gave 64 interpretations, all to do with the fact that God exists as a person. So, like Srila Prabhupada really puts down Sankaracharya for saying God is not a person. There are other conversations there with the Goswamis where he gives instruction to Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, elaborate instructions, which is written down by Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj. They're recorded, and from that, of course, Rupa and Sanatana wrote all these prolific books like Nectar of Devotion and so many other hundreds of literatures that Banu Maharaj has compiled. He's actually translated over hundreds of these literatures, and of course the feature one is Gopal Champu. It's a beautiful book that all the Vaishnavas use for reference. So this information was recorded by Krishnadas Kaviraj, who was an incarnation of Srila Vyasadeva. Incarnation of Srila Vyasadeva? Krishnadas Kaviraj. Well, partial incarnation or literary incarnation of Srila Vyasadeva, sorry. That's how it's said, he's put as a literary. So in other words, his knowledge is perfect. So here we are in this sort of conversation now with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Prakasananda Saraswati and all the Mayavadis. So this is like an epic turnaround because when Lord Chaitanya came into this planet, Mayavadi and Sankara philosophy was prominent. It was everywhere. There was very little Vaishnava philosophy that was there. And whatever Vaishnava philosophy about Krishna was mainly based in Vrindavan, so Vaishnavas were a rarity. Hang on. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to elaborate on. Hang on a second. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to dismantle the Mayavadi philosophy. So the Indian philosophy at that stage was that, it's under the broad term of Hinduism, was that there is a Trinity, right? So the Trinity, according to the Hindu philosophy or Mayavadi philosophy, is Lord Vishnu. He's the maintainer. So Lord Vishnu actually is manifestation of Narayan, who is in Vaikuntha, but that is sort of the Vaishnava aspect, that Narayan is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is a manifestation of Krishna, because Krishna is always in his Vrindavan playground, enjoying intensely with his devotees. So there are others, multiple living entities who worship Krishna in awe and reverence. So that's not really the Vrindavan mood. So he expands himself in his many Narayan features and creates Vaikuntha planets, these liberated planets in the spiritual world where living entities can enjoy the association of Krishna in his form as Narayan eternally. And there are others within this spectrum that actually don't really want to worship the Lord. They want to actually see for themselves what enjoyment is like, in the sense of being the supreme enjoyer themselves. So they turn their back on God, on Krishna, on Narayan, and they want to enjoy for themselves. So Narayan expands himself into forms Mahavishnu, and he comes to this. Lord Vishnu, in his different forms, creates this material cosmos. As Mahavishnu creates all the universes. As Garbhodaksha Vishnu, he enters into this universe. And then from Garbhodaksha Vishnu come all the living entities, and he impregnates them as Kshirodaksha Vishnu. So therefore, the contact with the Supreme Lord of all the living entities in this material world is Lord Vishnu. Right, so therefore Vishnu is known as maintainer, Brahma is known as the creator and Lord Shiva is known as the destroyer. Now, because of Sankaracharya's philosophy, you ask any pundit in India, I got this off a friend of mine, all glories to you, that Vishnu and Shiva and Brahma is a triangle, and when you understand the oneness of the triangle, you become one with God, right? So, what that means is that they are equating Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Lord Vishnu is all on the same platform, like they're all just living entities. So this is what Prabhupada is trying to say about Sankaracharya, is that Sankaracharya is refuting Vyasadeva, saying that Lord Vishnu comes from the material manifestation, the mode of goodness. He comes from the modes, the Mahatattva. And then we know Lord Brahma comes from the material mode of passion, Lord Shiva comes from material. So they come from the modes. But that is really, really strange philosophy to have, because Lord Vishnu created the modes, right? He created this whole universe. And then you're saying that this creator comes from his creation. So he gives the example, Srila Prabhupada gives the example, so many examples, and there is another example that we can use, that if we have so many things that we can create a nice hut, like bamboo and mud, and you construct all this, and you come out of it and say, this is a manifest from this is my creation. But wait a minute, someone's created all the materials there. So this is how these people have got this, so it's Prabhupada saying that the Mayavadis have this very, very poor fund of knowledge. And he quotes the Upanishad, like he also quotes the Upanishad, Sankaracharya quotes the Upanishad, but the Upanishad, the invocation before you start, all the Upanishads says it's very beautiful. It's a beautiful song actually. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Visishyate. So here it says the personality of Godhead is perfect and is complete. Because he's complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains a complete balance. So this is a struggle that the Mayavadis have, that if the Lord has sort of created this material energy, he is compromised. And then in his compromised state he comes, he manifests himself in the mode of goodness, and then so therefore he's on the same platform as the living entities. Similarly, Lord Shiva, he's the same, but we know Lord Shiva, Srila Prabhupada explains, it's said in Brahma Samhita, Chiram Yata Dadari Gari Visesa Yoga, that you get the action of milk and you put an agent in, an acid in, and what do you get? Get curd, right? So when you got curd, that's it, you've got curd. You can't make anything from curd. You can sort of have curd sabji or curd pakoras or something, but it's curd. But you got the milk. The curd's just one thing of the milk. What else can you do with milk? You can have cream from the milk, and from cream you can make butter, you can make ghee, or you can go another direction, you can make yogurt, or you can make kheer, or you can make rasgullas, or you can make so many different things. So it's all milk, is the whole variety. So therefore Lord Shiva's described it in the same manner, that he's like curd, Lord Vishnu is like milk. But Lord Shiva is eternal. So Lord Brahma, he comes from Lord Vishnu, he's born, he's the first living entity that's born. Lord Brahma is born and he dies. He's a living entity. All living entities born and die. But Ada Purnamidam, that Lord Vishnu, he never dies. He's eternal. He just come here to create all this for us. And then Lord Shiva comes out of Lord Brahma, and they go, how is that? That he's born out of Lord Brahma's forehead. You might say he's born, but he already comes out with his arms and his spears and whatever, that he's already manifest as Lord Shiva. He doesn't grow up and have an education. He's Lord Shiva. Here he is. So Lord Shiva is also eternal. So anyone who thinks that all these people are the same, all demigods are the same, all gods are the same. Anyone been to India and heard that? They're all the same. And all the sub-demigods are all in there too. Give us some sub-demigods just to keep the flow going. Varunaji, Vayu, wind, god of wind, Indra, all of them. We could go on for 333 million demigods. And of course there's the residents, the denizens of heaven, which are multi-million, but the principal gods, then of course we have Durga, we have Kali, they're all the same, all on the altar, right? The same thing. So we read every morning, what's that sloka that we read to equate Lord Vishnu as being as the same demigods is a great offence. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada recommends that we don't pray to the demigods, even if we want wealth, we don't pray. We want good health. It's all covered. We chant the Brahma Samhita and we worship the Supreme Lord, who is the creator of all the demigods. They're just agents to keep this manifestation going. So therefore, it's an offence to reduce the living entity to the same state of the Supreme Lord. So So how does it all work? That even if the Mayavadis, Srila Prabhupada describes the second part, even if Mayavadis think that Lord Vishnu manifestation from the mode of goodness, so where does it all come from? And he said, he came from the Brahman, and then he manifest in this mode of goodness, and the actual destination, everybody, is this Brahman effulgence. So that angle of vision is that like when we manifest in the modes, doesn't matter who we are, we're all illusion. This is all illusion because it's all temporary. Actually, the only thing that really is out there is that beautiful effulgence. So that effulgence, it's like not only did the Lord create the material universe, but he created the spiritual universes as well. It says in the Bhagavad Gita there, etad yonini bhutani savaniti upadharya aham krishnacha prabhavo prabhava playastata, that all know for certain that all is that is spiritual, material in this universe. I am the origin and dissolution. Of course, the spiritual world, there's never any dissolution. So the Brahmayoti is just a part of the Lord's creation. So again, in the Srimad Bhagavatam 1-11, it says, Vedanti tat-tattva vidas tattvam yat janamadvya prabhati paramatmati bhagavati subjate. Anyone know that one? That learned transcendentalists understand that the Lord comes in three aspects: Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. So it's just like Prabhupada describes in one of his purports that it's like if you look in the distance when you're in Wollongby, you see the mountains in the background, and they're all blue. You can't, Mount Warning from Tweed Edge is all blue, right? You just see this blue shape, so that's really big. But as you get closer, you see that there's all these trees in the mountain, and then you go right in here, hey, there's civilization, there's life, there's people living here. So in my speculative nature, I thought of a recent example. It's just like if we go to a rock concert. I'm sure you're all really, great devotees, and you never went to one of these big rock concerts like we did in the early days, but you have a big band, and what they start with a flashing light. All of a sudden before the band comes on, there's bright lights going everywhere. You think, I came for the light. Wow, this is really good. The light's all happening, And then there's a sort of crescendo of noise, and you see these little figures from way back and where you're sitting out in the 50th aisle or something, all these little figures on stage, and you say, the noise is coming from them, And then, of course, later on they project it onto the screen, and there's a famous person sort of doing his thing. So, he's a personality and the songs come from him and blah, blah, blah. So it's like 3 stages of realization. So it's a simile with, the Brahman. It's simply ludicrous to think that the Brahman effulgence is the ultimate and you do not go any further. And even if they do think that that is a fact, still that Brahman effulgence comes from the Lord. So where did this... Oh, I've got 5 minutes left. Oh dear. Where did this philosophy go wrong? Well, it's like we have the old adage, what does 1 and 1 add up to? 2, right? So first, before we break that equation there, we have to find out what is 1. 1, that's a unit, right? So what is the unit? Well, the unit is the fact that we're not this body, right? First of all, there's a spirit soul and this body. So therefore, when we come to like the Christian faith, who do not actually understand this fact, then they don't even start the equation. The equation doesn't even begin. If you can't understand what is body and what is soul, well, what chance have you got advancing in spiritual life? So with the Mayavadi philosophy, at least they've got the equation 1 and 1. Well, they've got the unit down, 1 plus 1, right? So they understand, hey, we're not this body, we're a spirit soul, right? And understand karma, they understand reincarnation. But because of that triangle that Vishnu and everybody's the same, and that Vishnu manifests as the super soul in everybody's heart, therefore,
1 plus 1 equals 1.
we're Vishnu, 1. We're all 1. Hey? We're all 1, as simple as that. So they go around, you're Narayan, I'm Narayan, I'm God, you're God. The only difference is there's a poor suffering God, there's a rich God up in heaven. The poor suffering God has to die. And probably the poor suffering God's memory is most of the suffering that he actually has, the aches and pains as he's getting older, he remembers all them. Jara and Vyadi, that's the suffering God. So, therefore, Lord Caitanya describes that there is, apart from that, there is that soul, the eternal soul. There's a sloka here, if I can find it, I think I've lost it, that says that apart from a living entity, there is another soul in the body, and that soul is the eternal soul that is always there with the living entity through all of our sojourn in the material world. There's 2. That's the philosophy of Dvaitism, duality, whereas Advaita means monism. And that's where there's the big diversion. So therefore 1 and 1 equals 1 if you don't understand that there are 2 in your in that aspect within your body. The Supreme Lord is there. So when we understand that the Supreme Lord is there, then we understand that Krishna is there. That is Krishna consciousness, that we understand the Lord within the heart. And this is the purpose of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. In this purpose, in this discussion with Prakasananda Saraswati, that he elaborately explains to him that the process of jnana and vairagya, very, very difficult process in Kali Yuga. Forget it. Don't even try. The only process is the Bhakti Yoga process. Process of Bhakti Yoga which takes you straight to Krishna, right? And that's Krishna consciousness, that actually Krishna is manifest in our heart as a super soul. But not only that, he manifests himself in so many different ways in his deities, paraphernalia, his pastimes, and through this Srimad Bhagavatam and all the holy scriptures and so forth and so on. So that is actually Vaishnavism. That is God conscious, that we absorb ourselves in the spiritual atmosphere of God consciousness, and then it's easy to be transferred, go way past the Brahman, right up to the Bhagavan stage of God realization, which is love of Krishna. So I've tried to summarize a little bit of Srila Prabhupada's beautiful purport here. We have 20 seconds left. Anybody want to ask something? Yes, Hari Shri Hari Bhakti.
I have to pay my respects to disturbing the class prior to me coming to hear you.
Oh,
Sorry.
Oh, well, look, thank you very much for that. But I've still got your Mahaprasadam here on the writ now too. Thank you very much. Oh, apart any other, anything else? I'm sorry that I didn't leave any room for questions, but we got through it.
I'll give you a little comment.
Yes, please.
Just on the term demigods, in India they use the term gods, not demigods, they're all gods. And Srila Prabhupada introduced this term to us. And I've mentioned this before in class, but it's so wonderful. Prabhupada, all these purports addresses them as demigod, which is a biblical term meaning demi or semi-gods. And any time Vishnu or Krishna mentions the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so the clear linguistic distinction Prabhupada gives us constantly. Demi-God and Supreme Personality of God.
Supreme Person, yeah, the Supreme Person, yeah. There's personalities of God there, but the Supreme Person.
No, the other one's a demi, or demi-semi.
Halfway there.
Yeah.
And then there's a sub-demigods too. There's a demigods and a sub-demigods.
And others and so on.
Yeah.
The language of Srila Prabhupada gives us in purport really helps us have that clear distinction always. And that's just a comment.
Jai Prabhu, thank you very much.
It's really interesting. He also mentions that all the incarnations of Krishna. He mentions
Hang on, just start again.
Prabhupada also mentioned that all the incarnations mentioned Krishna as the personality of Godhead, and then he also distinguishes that from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he's really, quite clear and concise with his grammar. Very impressive.
Thank you, yeah. Succinct.
Just one last one. Tomorrow is Caitanya, and if you want to dress up as cow boys, you're welcome. The greeting of the deity will be bringing some cows in the temple room. They can decorate cows with some artificial grass on the ground. So you can't eat, but anyway, in case they decide to donate something.
Cows or calves?
They'll be probably 2 or 3 year old. That'll be
Big horns?
for you, yes. So please come along, and also Madhurani's done a very beautiful decorations and things tomorrow for their customary. Okay.
Jai! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Prabhupada. Ki.